farm families would agree to adopt these children if they would work for them, and they would feed them, clothe them, and give them shelter. And so this happened for quite a while until 1851, Massachusetts adopted an adoption law. And according to Ruth Howe, this adoption law was a state and judicial process that was by the Child Welfare Services, and it promoted the best interest of a child. Basically what this law was is it was stating that the birth parents had to sign some kind of consent or a document in a court of law stating that they had placed their child up for adoption. Between 1851 and the 1900s, there wasn't a lot of anything in the adoption laws besides the one I just discussed. They got away with a lot of stuff. But in 1917, Minnesota passed the Adoption Investigation Act, and this is a very important law because it still stands today that these people who are adopting a child have to go through a lot of background information, a lot of background checks. And then also, an adoption agency usually comes to their home and investigates them and that sort of thing before they can start the adoption process. You're probably wondering who and why can be adopted. Why would you want to be adopted, or why would you even want to put your child up for adoption? If your child has different types of diseases, for example, some children have autism, they're autistic, and their parents can't take care of them. Also, why would you want to be adopted? Some teen parents can't take care of their children. It's very common today, and it's basically a parent taking care, or a child taking care of a child. They also can have financial problems, such as they have to pay for their insurance, medical bills, clothes, that sort of thing. According to Ellen Herm's Adoption Project, you can be adopted from birth until you're age 18. It's important to remember, like I discussed in the 1917 Minnesota Investigation Act, that this is by choice, that their parents are giving their child up for adoption and they're signing that consent. According to Groves and Hewlin from the Women's Encyclopedia of Health, half of the adoption in the United States is by a step parent. So, for example, if these children, their mom marries an unrelated man to them and he adopts them, that's basically half of the adoption in the United States right now. Children can be adopted before they're even born. Some of their parents see them, some of their parents don't. Some of them know the adopter, where some of them do not know the adopter, but like I already discussed with the 1917 Minnesota Investigation Act, these parents are secure with their children going into a home that's going to take care of them. You're probably curious about what happens to these children who don't find families and who don't have a home. This is known as foster care. Children in foster care are abused, neglected, and this is just basically a temporary safe environment for these kids until they can find them a proper home. According to the Arizona private investigators, Meister and Van Allen, the Department of Social Services usually takes these children from their homes and places them into foster care. Depending on the circumstance of why they were taken from their home, usually the parents' rights are terminated, therefore the child is being placed up for adoption. Who cares for these children while they're in foster care? It would be foster families. These are families who take these children in as their own and take care of them just like they were their own child until they later get adopted. Also, foster grandparents are elderly people who are retired who want to take these children in and take care of them until they are adopted. According to Rachel Cox, in 1996 December, President Clinton passed the National Priority Act, and he had instructed the Department of Human Services to double the amount of children who were adopted from foster care within that year. And from the hardworking Department of Human Services, 27,000 children were adopted from foster care within that year, so it's a great accomplishment. Some of these children from foster care are able to move back home depending on the circumstances, but like I've already said, most of their rights have been terminated, so they're still ready to be placed up for adoption. Most of these children usually meet with these families. They gradually meet with them, they hang out with them, they spend the night with them and that sort of thing, and they get to know them and see how the parent adjusts to the relationship with the child, as well as how the child relationship adjusts to the parent before they even start the adoption process. The basic goal here is, if you're being adopted by the consent of your parents, like I talked about, from birth, or by a step-parent, or by foster care, the main goal is just to get them adopted into a safe environment and within a safe home. So basically, I just discussed with you the history of adoption, who can be adopted and why, and also the being adopted by the consent of your parents versus being placed into foster care and then later